week. And today we are getting into another topic whereby we'll discuss about the accounting setup manager. And before that, we were able to see how we can enable currency, how we define the chart of accounts. We completed all that. Unless there is any question, we will go ahead to accounting setup manager, because this is what lays foundation to, or it's a gateway to the definition of the primary ledger and also legal entity, and also the selection or provision of accounting methods. So in that case, we'll have a small discussion regarding accounting setup manager before we see how it looks like. Okay. So when you talk about the accounting setup manager, it defines the accounting setups. This is where you streamline the implementation of your Oracle financial application by centralizing the setup steps, whereby for the following common setups, which I'll be naming here down, you'll be able to select based on the fact that you're implementing for financials. So in this case, what happened is that it's the only feature that can help you be able to come up with the Oracle financial application accounting setups. And with this, the features that you can be able to bring together through this accounting setup manager are: one, the ledgers, call them primary ledger, let me call them ledgers. And in ledgers, we have both primary and secondary. We have both primary and secondary ledgers. Then we have legal entities. It could be maybe one or several, like we saw in our multi-org structure. Then we provide reporting currency. In reporting currency, we provide subledger accounting method, or rather, call it Oracle subledger. You'll find us referring to SLA. Okay. So with this, the use of accounting setup manager, you will be able to define accounting setup, where each accounting setup will define the accounting context for one or more legal entities, or a business need that does not involve legal entities. So you might find you may need only to define for the ledgers, provide the reporting currency, and subledger accounting method, and of course the structure of the name, or the structure of the accounting structure. So what happens is, in the process of defining this, we have a setup process which consists, number one, we have setup process, which consists, number one, in the accounting setup manager, the creating an accounting setup structure. So there is create accounting setup structure. The accounting setup structure creates the framework of the accounting setup, whereby it will come up with identification, or it identifies the entities or the legal entities, if any, the type of accounting setup, and the ledgers. So this one is for identifying or creating a framework. So we can say it's for creating a framework for setting up the features that we have mentioned here, for setting up legal entities, okay, ledgers, okay, ledgers, and the currencies or currencies that will be used. That will be used. Okay, so that is one step or process number one. Then there will be the completion of the accounting options. So the completion of accounting options So this is where you have to select these kind of options. The accounting options involve the subledger accounting. You'll find it involves reporting currency. It will involve accounting. It will involve ledger option. It will involve even things that we call intercompany accounts and intracompany balancing rules, and also involves a sequencing option. So these accounting options are ledger options. Okay, we have accounting options. Okay, then we have reporting currency. So this is where now you select. So the step one is coming up with the structure. You create the framework. Then after now coming up with the structure, you have now to select all these options in terms of how the requirements are. So the first one is ledger option, accounting option. You'll find we have reporting currency. Then we have subledger options. Okay, subledger options. This one is how you want to see the accounting coming from the subledgers modules. Remember, we have the subledger modules which have to come from the other modules and hit the accounting data or information to GL. Then we have intercompany. We have intercompany. That is intercompany and intra-company balancing rules. Intercompany, their accounts. Intercompany accounts and intra-company balancing rules. Okay, this is one of the important area when it comes to implementation of accounting, whereby all these setups have to be done accordingly. So with understanding this kind of high-level information of accounting setup manager, we can can be able to go ahead and be able to define our primary ledger. We define our primary ledger and we provide the currency, we provide the accounting, accounting methods, and also we will provide something we call the name of our primary ledger. Okay, so in short, we have the 4 C's. 4 C's. Okay, these 4 C's we talked about. Is there anyone who can name? What are the 4 C's?
We have one being currency.
Yeah, currency. I want all 4, not one.
You have the next one being chart of accounts.
Chart of account.
There's one for accounting method.
This accounting method. Last one. Accounting calendar. Okay. So these are our 4 C's. So whatever we've been mentioning here or talking about, it's all about the 4 C's. But now it's good you have a wider picture of what it can do. So after doing the process 1 and 2, you have to finalize with process number 3, which is completing the accounting setup. Accounting setup. Okay. So this was just a by the way. We can maintain it here. So how do we navigate to be able to define the accounting setup manager options? And in short, we are not talking about accounting setup manager in the bigger picture. This was a highlight, but primarily what we want is to define something we call the primary ledger here. So we are just highlighting what the accounting setup manager is, but our goal is to define the primary ledger. Once we are done with defining the primary ledger, we go to defining the legal entity and assigning legal entity to the primary ledger. Okay. So very quickly, we log into our system. The navigation, responsibility is still general ledger. Okay. So you can say by providing currency, currency we select. By selecting currency, providing chart of account, selecting accounting method, and providing accounting calendar, you can be able to create the ledger, the primary ledger. So this primary ledger is the one that we are seeing through this. So the goal here is to create the primary ledger. Okay. Remember, this is the the ledger that will be used to correct or to maintain the reporting needs of the organization. We said a ledger represents a legal entity's financial records. So it has all it is the mother of the financial records. It includes the chart of account, it includes accounting calendar, currency, and accounting method. So with this, it's supposed to be number 13. Give it some color there. So on the primary ledger, navigation is setup, financials. Let's navigate with you. Let me log in. This is in but third user. Our password is welcome. So this is our user. So the navigation to define the primary ledger is general ledger responsibility, setup, financials, accounting setup manager. Okay, accounting setup. This one doesn't open on the Java forms. Okay, it opens on web pages. So let's open the Java forms because we might need them. So the navigation we have said is setup. Make sure you note this down. Okay. Setup financials, accounting setup manager. Accounting setup manager. Accounting setup. Okay, that's the navigation. So once you're here, you will open there. You can be able to open the web page forms. Select the accounting setups. So this is the window, or this is the page where you create, define your accounting options. Through the accounting setup, feature. You can be able to define what we have said, that is the ledger. You can be able to provide the legal entity. You can be able to provide or select currencies. You can also be able to select the accounting methods. So what happens once you are here? This window, it's good to familiarize yourself with it. And because it's a process, you'll find we have the status. You have the status. Even here, you can be able to see before we go to status, you can be able to see a small, maybe definition, whereby it's saying the accounting setup manager enables you to set up and implement your Oracle financial application from one location. Each accounting setup you define includes the common setup components that control transaction processing across Oracle financial applications. So it's just a summary of what I had explained before. That's what exactly it's saying. Then there is the status key. So in terms of status keys, you'll find defining your accounting options. I've said it has 3 steps, and step 1 is we create the accounting setup structure. Once we have created the accounting setup structure, we'll go to the completing the accounting options. This is where you select the different options that are available. That is accounting options, including ledger options, reporting currency options, sub-ledger accounting options, intercompany accounts, and intra-company balancing rules. And also we have sequencing options. So that is stage number 2. Then number 3, we have the complete the accounting setup. So you see here we have the status name by the name completed. So you might find you have defined or you have done step 1. Once you are doing step 1 and you have not completed, your status of your accounting options status will be in progress. Currently, it's not started. Okay, so you'll find once you have completed step 3, it will be completed. So you'll be able to view all this when it comes to the process of defining. So in short, we can query. This is a search area whereby you can query for existing accounting options that are already defined. And here you provide the ledger name. You can search with the ledger name, or you can also search legal entity. Okay, you have the option of searching either of the 2. So in our case, we will not change the parameter. Let's see an already existing ledger for the common use, the one that we have been using, or the one that we have been working with and being used by so many people to learn and practice. So it's for visions operations. I think we use one word. Vision. So you can see, once we query with vision operations, there is a ledger name by the name vision operations USA. And the type of the ledger is primary ledger. Associated primary ledger is vision operation. Status is complete. This is the same as this tick, saying the status is complete. Okay, so we want now to define ours. Before we define, do we have the forces that we are talking about? me see. Do we have all these forces? Someone, please. Do we have the forces? Do we have the currency? Team? Yeah, I want to hear from you. It's either yes or no. Do we have the currency?
Yes, we do. We are using a US dollar. It's already enabled.
Do we have chart of account?
Yes.
Accounting methods?
So we are supposed to select them. I'm not sure if you took us through.
Counting calendar?
I was absent on the day you took the team through that.
Okay,
So
have it defined, but I don't think whether the system has been able to complete that process. We'll see. But ideally, we have all those forces. So we all need to go and select and create our primary ledger. So let's see whether we have the system complete compiling our calendar and our chart of accounts. Calendar is still under validation. Also the chart of accounts. This one might hold us. So I thought someone worked on it. So what we'll do, we will discuss. I'll show you the process. So what you're supposed to do once, assuming we don't have any existing ledger and you're creating a flash. So what you're supposed to do once you go through the navigation, the system of course will bring you on this page. And of course, these are the 3 steps that we were talking about. That is creating accounting structure, defining accounting options, and completing the accounting setup. These are the 3 steps that I have just talked about. So what you're supposed to do is to click on create accounting setup. Create accounting setup. Once you create on accounting setup, it will bring you to this page of assign legal entity or create accounting setup, assign legal entity. Don't do anything here. You're supposed to come to this button of next. You click on next. So once you are here, the page here is create accounting setup. You are defining accounting representation. This is nothing else, nothing but the creation of the primary ledger. So the creation of primary ledger usually provides the name. You provide or you select the chart of accounts. This, remember, is the one that you have defined. Then you select the accounting calendar, the one we have as well defined. You select the currency and you select the accounting subledger accounting method. So these are the 4 C's that we have been talking about: chart of accounts, accounting method, accounting calendar, currency, and accounting method. We call them subledger accounting method because it's for guiding how the accounting will be done in the other entire subledgers. So in our case, we will have that primary ledger. Okay. Then we have that chart of account. I don't know whether it will be able to pull. So because it has not completed, we might not be able to or to pull our chart of accounts, for defining the primary ledger. But what I know is that we'll be able to look at it. I think our DBA has not been able to complete that functionality, or rather that task. But let me see whether there's something we can be able to do right now. So ideally, this is how we start to define the accounting options through providing the structure name, that is the primary ledger name. It's what we call the option structure name. And then chart of accounts, this one you select. Accounting calendar, the same, and currency. These three are mandatory. And accounting method is not necessary that you have to select, but you might find you will have to, because you are using subledgers that are sending data from the from the subledger modules to the GL module. So as we wait, we see whether something can be done. We can go back and get to learn a few things with the Vision primary ledger. Okay, you just click on cancel and it will take you back to the origin page. So we have Vision operations. When you have queried and you want now to update, because there are so many things I've said that you can work with. There is the legal entity. You can assign as many legal entity as possible or as you wish to the primary ledger. And once you assign a legal entity to a primary ledger, you cannot assign it to another primary ledger. It's very much important, although that one we'll discuss when we come to the level of when we'll be defining and assigning the legal entity to the primary ledger. But the point is, when we want to update the primary ledger, we come and click on update accounting options. So even if the stage or the status will not have completed, for instance, let me return. If the status here would have been in progress, or maybe probably, yeah, not completed, you'll still have this option of updating the accounting options. So through this feature is where you'll open your primary ledger, and under this primary ledger, there's so many informations once you open the window or the page. So what happens is that you usually provide different information in this primary ledger. So when we are defining, you'll find this, like now this one might be a bit giving you headache because you don't know how we have arrived on this, but bear with me. It's because that we cannot be able to select the already defined. We want to work with our own data. I don't want you to see things that have already been done. I want to show you practically. So bear with me as I demo with this one, and what I would say is that you will be able to see how exactly we reach to this level with our own. Okay, you'll be able to see how we can reach to this level with our own data, and we can be able to see our primary ledger to this level. So there are things that I was talking about, and one of it is the options that you need to provide in defining your accounting options. So those accounting options, once is reporting currency. You can see the name of the primary ledger is here down. Okay, I don't want to start with legal entity because this one comes after the primary ledger has been completed. The status is complete. That's when we come and assign the legal entities. All these are legal entities assigned to this primary ledger. Okay, but don't focus on this right now. Let's have just a high overview of some of the options that we are talking about in terms of assigning or selecting the options for the purpose of accounting. So, and number one is the reporting currency. Okay, we have reporting currencies, and this one you'll find you just select. But as well, you can go ahead and do some update. You can see here we have an icon for update. Then again, we have the balancing segment values. So if I click for update for reporting currencies, so the system will take us to the reporting currency window. So if, for instance, you want to have more than one reporting currency, you can be able to add them, or you have a room to add the reporting currency here. So it is possible to have as many reporting currency as you wish based on the need of the client. I think this is a requirement I was working with last week, and you'll find, but it's not exactly working, but it was a demo I was doing in for prospective client, and this was one of the requirements, whether the system can be able to have multiple reporting currency. So it's as important you have that in mind, whereby when it comes to reporting, you can have more than one reporting currency. So we return to accounting option. Okay, we can click anything of this, either this or this. So this is the column for updating. Anything that you are seeing it's active here, it means you can always update. If it's not active, you cannot make any adjustment. Then we have the balancing segment of value assignment. So you'll find it is very, very much important to allocate the balancing segment. Remember, we created 6 segments, and for the purpose of reporting, you have to assign the balancing segment to the primary ledger. But this you'll find it is if you have more than one segment. I mean one company segment or one balancing segment, whereby you need to specify which one do you want to have it when it comes to your primary ledger reporting. Then we have the subledger accounting options. So in the subledger accounting options, this is where you provide the subledger accounting methods. So this one also is very, very important. You select, you can add, you can always change. Let's see the assignment of balancing segment values. So you can see we have different balancing segment values that has been assigned. But is this for the purpose of learning? You might find they make no any sense for this case. But for other cases, when you're implementing, you have to align with the business and get to know which balancing segment do you need to use. Okay. Then we have the operating units. So you may find we have not talked about operating units. So, but operating units, when we were discussing about the multi-org structure, I mentioned about these are like branches which you might find. They have common business or line of business, but they have been separated. They are different from one another. So you'll find they need to report through the same primary ledger. So for you to bring them together, you have to assign these operating units to the primary ledger, so that when it comes to reporting, they can be able to use either that primary ledger or any other primary ledger that you may assign them to based on the need of the business. Then we have intercompany accounts. Intercompany accounts, you'll find they are accounts that have for instance, you'll find we have more than one legal entity in the group of a certain company. So these other legal entities, they need to probably share data for the purpose of reporting purposes. So intercompany accounts and intercompany balancing rules apply to where you have more than one legal entities, and they need to use probably a certain ledger and align the reporting as per the requirement of the business. So there are several information you have to provide in this level of intercompany accounts and intracompany balancing rules. And you'll find this one will come when you are having more than one ledger. I mean one ledger or even more than one legal entity. But when we will be doing the implementation, we'll just do it for the purpose of seeing, but mostly you may not find it when each and every time you are implementing for a new client. So then we have sequencing, and it's for the purpose of defining and accounting the reporting sequence. So how you want the sequence of reporting to be to be appearing, you have to define it under this level of sequencing. So basically, that is among the three steps that I had mentioned. We provide all this information apart from the defining the primary ledger. Once we define the primary ledger through selecting the accounting calendar, currency, the other one is chart of accounts, and accounting method, we can go ahead and provide other options. So those other options is what I'm talking about right now. These are the other options for the purpose of reporting and the needs of the business. All these you can be able to achieve through the accounting setup manager. Again, there are things that you'll be able to do, although these ones may come later. If I may open our primary ledger, we have more options. We have more options. The moment we'll be defining our primary ledger, we'll be able to see all these steps. And we'll provide the ledger name, and the system will provide we can provide the shorter ledger name, and we can provide the description, the currency. All these will be defaulting from the information that we'll provide at the structure definition level. So even the currency is after we selected on that level. Then there is the chart of accounts. In the same case, we provided the name, we provided the currency, we provided the chart of accounts, then we provided the calendar. Again, we will provide the accounting method. So all these will default as you continue to come. Each and everything that you'll be doing, it will be guided by the information you have provided in the 4 C's. So again, those 4 C's, now having being able to create or to define your primary ledger, you can provide other control options. Okay, you can provide other control options. For instance, you can be able to provide the journal entry language. Okay, you enter current, currency balancing account. You know, all these are features that you'll be able to use or to provide the moment you define the accounting. You define the primary ledger. Then we have the ledger options. Okay, you can click here, or you can also come and say next. So any can do. So under the ledger options, for the purpose of end year reporting, we have to provide the retained earnings account. See here, it's mentioned year-end processing. So year-end, their processes have to be done. We'll look at it as we conclude our training, whereby this feature of retained earning is very, very much important, because there are those balances that will be deposited in this account once the year-end processing has been done. Then again, you'll find this one, you have to define it. Even if you don't have any other account that probably you are working with, the retained earning account has to be defined. And that's why you saw in our chart of accounts, I think it was my last, I defined this for that purpose, so that we can be able to come and use it later when we are defining our primary ledger. You see this as a mandatory field. It has a sterling, which says that we have to provide for this information. Then you can be able to provide the suspense account, okay, rounding differences, tracking account. You know, you have to enable intercompany balancing if you have more than one legal entity and it has the balances that you want to exchange. Then when we'll be talking about the journals, we'll come and learn about how to enable the journal approval, okay, and enable journal entry tax. So there are so many options you can be able to provide. These are the options that we are talking about based on how your accounting has to look like. Okay. So basically, when we are implementing or defining the primary ledger, we only define or provide information for the mandatory fields. Because you might find, for instance, when you're implementing, there might not be a need for journal approval. So, but later in time, when the business has gone through or has stayed for some time, the client will come and tell you, we would like to have some control when the journals are being posted. So this control, how can we achieve it? So you remember there is a feature like journal approval. You come and enable it. And now the person who will be posting the journal will have to seek approval of a certain other person that will be have defined so that they can be able to post the journal in the GL. So basically, not everything you'll need to define as the first time when you're defining. You might keep on coming here now and then to adjust some settings. Okay. Is there any question? Okay. So there are some other options for journal reconciliation, budgetary journal. So you'll find all these is for the purpose of individual. They apply based on the individual client that you are probably implementing for, and will not apply to every or each and every each and every client because the needs might be different. Okay. So once we are done with defining our accounting setup, basically the primary ledger creation, we'll go to legal entities. We'll go to define the legal entity, and we'll get to understand what is a legal entity, why is it important, and how Oracle or the system use it to apply some controls and also reporting purposes. So, is there any question, Tim?
Just a quick one. On reporting currency.
Yes.
So how will the users get the figures for reporting in a different currency as they're using when doing the actual capturing of the transaction? So in the essence, like if we defined a primary a ledger, which is the primary bearing a currency like USD. Now the translation of from USD to a different currency, how will it be entered to, or it will be something that will happen automatically? The reason for that, you see, normally they always need to create another secondary ledger. So the replication of the into translated currency flows to the secondary ledger. Will that be the same case all over, or there's a bit shorter route to go?
So what happens is that one thing we have the option for exchange rates. Okay. Although this one was to come later, but because you have asked, let me just mention it. So what happens is that if you're using more than one currency, you'll have to provide the currency rates. So we usually provide the daily rates, or rather call them, or we define the rates. In short, we usually define the rates or upload the rates. Okay. And you might find when this for currency, we're talking about the rates. So here we usually provide the rates based on how we receive them from maybe the central bank or other platforms. Okay, like for instance, the ones that are in money market business, you find that they take their rates from, is it Bloomberg? Something of the sort. So you have the option to provide the rates. And once you provide the rates, for instance, let me query here. Let's see what we have. You see, for instance, I don't know about these currencies, but you find there is a currency of ANY to ATS. And this was entered in 2005. It was for the purpose of, this was October 2005. And these were the rates by then. Okay. So what happens if you are transacting, for instance, if you are booking a transaction, for instance, the functional currency is USD, and you're booking a transaction in, for instance, Kenya shillings. You have to provide the rates for that date you are booking the transaction. If, for instance, you are booking the transaction 28th of August, and that's the invoice you're booking in the system, you have to provide that the rate of on 28th of August here. So the system will be able to go in the back end and check whether the rates are there. If the rates are not there, the system will throw you an error, and you have to provide that rate before you proceed with the transaction. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yes, I think I've got it quite clear on this point. However, was when doing reporting, but I think you've mentioned that we'll come back to this later. So I think it's fine now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, in reporting, you will see different reports of even the gain and loss report. And that's where you will be calculating all these gain and loss for the exchange rates. You'll be able to see all this. And what else? Yeah, so basically that's that. Any other question? Because we have to fix the issue of concurrent manager to stop, to be able to, give us what we want.